Hey everyone, and welcome to Streams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always to play this game that we call show is Tim.
Are you ever going to take down your Christmas decorations?
Look, I know, like, people are going to think that I have been lazy and I've not taken down the Christmas decorations. However, we are recording this episode in advance, partly because we have to, and it is actually the middle of December right now, and that is why the Christmas tree is in the background, okay? I'm sorry I suppose I could have went over and like just moved it out of frame. That was always an option, but...
If you cared about our patrons, that's what you would do, but
our
that's
patrons?
Fine. They didn't pay to see Christmas decorations in January.
Well, they didn't pay for this episode anyway. This was not a Patreon episode, you tit. This is a horror movie podcast. Every week we get together, we talk about a horror movie. So the movie we're going to talk about this week is Ready or Not, which was one of the bigger 2019 releases that we couldn't do because we had different release dates. So we had to wait until it was available. We'll start spoiler free as we always do. We'll give you warning before we get into the spoilers. So do not fear.
I was thinking maybe we should, it's a new year. Maybe we should mix it up. Why don't we do spoilers first and then spoiler free?
Because that makes it really hard for the people who just want the spoiler free section to just have that section.
Okay, so you just want to kind of stagnate and grow stale. Okay, that's cool. Let's never do anything. Let's never change anything up. That's fine.
We can change all things up, Tim. I feel like the spoiler free section being first is a pretty unmovable trope of the podcast.
I've heard some people say they're not happy with it. But hey, that's neither my place nor here nor there.
So we're going to Ready or Not, which stars Samara Weaving and Adam Brody. It's directed by Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillette. Maybe that's Gillette, actually. That could be Gillette. But and it's written by Guy Busick, and the reason why I'm bringing up the writers, because I don't often bring up the writers when they're separate, but the other co-writer is Ryan Murphy. And honestly, I can kind of actually tell that I didn't know that until I looked at the IMDb page like 5 minutes ago, but I can actually kind of tell now that I've read that. I'm like, yeah, it does kind of feel like Ryan Murphy in some ways. But
what's funny is I did not plan this whatsoever, but I somehow managed to watch 2 Adam Brody movies in a row.
You never plan anything, so I believe that.
Yeah, but I was catching up on movies I haven't seen, and Shazam is finally streaming. It was on HBO, so I watched that first.
Shazam!
Of course, Adam Brody appears towards the end of that. And then it's weird because I feel like I haven't seen him in like anything like for the last couple of years, and then all of a sudden, like back to back 2 pretty big movies I watch.
Yep. So the premise of Ready or Not is as follows. Samara Weaving plays the bride who's married into this rich family. Her character's name is Grace, and she's married into this family who is like a game board or a board game dynasty. They've got a board game empire, and they're filthy rich. They have this big mansion, and they're getting her married to their son out in their big mansion. They've got this big, area with pools and decking and all that. And at midnight, tradition, because they're a board game family, on the night of a new wedding in the family, they play a game, and they make her draw a card, which leads to a game of hide and seek. However, and this is obviously from the trailer, the game of hide and seek is deadly, and they're actually hunting her to kill her, and she must try and survive this absolutely batshit insane rich family that are running around the house with various weapons. Some have guns, some have crossbows, some have axes. It's a whole thing. And that's the gist of the movie. That's the premise. And we'll save obviously more for spoilers. But Tim,
yeah,
did you enjoy Ready or Not?
So I was excited to watch this because I heard a lot of people have really positive reviews about it. I think maybe with the exception of like one friend of mine, I'd seen a lot of people be like, you know what, this is actually like really good. Like, oh, it came out of nowhere. I'm surprised. It's like one of my favorite movies of the year. So I ended up watching it, and I kind of think it was just okay. Like, it's definitely not bad. I did have, quite a bit of fun with it. But at the end of the day, like there was some jokes, and I would probably say this is kind of like a horror comedy. Like, it definitely feels, like it is like pretty joke heavy and stuff. And some of it worked for me. Some of it I kind of rolled my eyes at, like, especially one that really comes to mind is like the very final line of the movie is such a like wah wah kind of dumb joke. But I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh on it. Maybe I had too high expectations going into it. But at the end of the day, I think it's a fine, okay, funny movie. But it didn't like blow my socks off or anything.
You can't see a Christmas tree. There's no Christmas tree here.
That's what you're doing.
I was just curious if I could actually like pull it off, like could I actually successfully hide it completely?
Yeah, it's good. But now we found it, so we must kill it.
Yes. So, honestly, Tim, I'm actually kind of in the same boat. I went into this kind of hyped. Not just because of the reactions, I like the trailer. I thought it seemed like a fun movie of her like trying to fight back, and it does actually subvert your expectations with one thing. Like she has a lot of stuff on the poster that she does kind of get in the movie, and it kind of subverts your expectations with it. And I thought that was done well. But I did think it actually shortchanged me on a lot of the proactive side of her character that I was expecting from the trailer. So that kind of sucked. It definitely has some good moments of humor that I did enjoy. There's some fun beats.
I would say the one thing I really liked is the running gag with, let's just say, with the help.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was really good. There was one ludicrous thing towards the end I actually did really like, just in terms of the visual.
Okay. we'll talk about that because there's something about the ending that I'm not crazy about. So we'll obviously spoiler stuff.
There's definitely plot stuff that I'm not like is in love with. I feel like
I'll save it for spoilers.
Yeah, save it for spoilers. I guess my biggest issue with it, because there's a lot of, do you know what I think it is? There's a lot of great moments in this movie. There's a lot of little individual moments I really like. I don't think it
Talking about the goats.
I don't think it. Oh yeah, right. There was goats. You're right. Damn it. I don't think it's kind of like it assembles to be a total film that I like that much. Though I mean, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, but. Like, it's a series of individual moments that I think are pretty solid and often entertaining. But I think my bigger problem with it is that I was expecting this movie, and it's funny because, we recorded this in the same days we did Black Christmas 2019 for anyone who's curious. And I was complaining in that movie that the characters weren't as, like, proactive as I was expecting. But this movie, especially the trailer, made it feel like she was gearing up and going to fight back. And the movie even teases it at one point. And I felt like instead of ever her turning around and actually forming a plan against like everyone else, she is always just running and kind of looking out or whatever, kind of at the last second. I never felt like she really was taking the initiative in a way that was like, which I felt like it was building to. I felt the movie was building to that the whole time, and it never really quite happened. And I think it's got an interesting tone to it where it almost veers into more horror comedy at points. The only thing being that the actual threat of them hunting her is always taken kind of seriously. As a result, though, when it gets towards the ending, it becomes a little bit so farcical that, and this is the weird thing, is that Ryan Murphy, obviously behind American Horror Story and a bunch of other stuff, I never liked him.
He's usually very subtle in his filmmaking.
Very good. So I never liked American Horror Story, but I did love Scream Queens. And the funny thing about Scream Queens is that Scream Queens is super over the top, and I felt like this movie almost suffered from being in between over the top and wanting to be a serious like survival horror movie.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like that joke with the help and stuff, like that is something that is very like over the top and crazy, which is I think is why it works.
It's very Scream Queens, and I think if the movie had lent more into
that does
that,
seem like a Scream Queens.
I think either leaning more into that would have made me love it, or being a more serious survival movie where she's actually trying to like outsmart them and survive, I'd really love. But it lands right in this middle place where it never quite becomes either of the movies that I could have really liked.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because again, it's not. It might sound like we're being a little too harsh. It's definitely not a bad movie. It's a very easy watch. It's fun. Like definitely check it out. It's just like not something that like I think maybe you're right. If you do go maybe a little more over the top, or maybe a little more serious, or maybe just kind of pick a side, it could have been a lot more effective. But yeah, right now it's just like again, especially like a lot of people are really hyped about it. When I watched it, I was just like, oh, this is the one everyone's crazy about. I mean, it's fine, but definitely could have been better. And what I think is the better version of this movie? You're Next.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because that actually you have someone being a lot more proactive, and like you still have like the incompetent, kind of like rich bickering family hunting someone down, but it's just so much more enjoyable.
No arguments from me. Like, You're Next is a movie that as you're watching it, you fall in love with that main character because she's so great. She's such a badass. She's out thinking the characters, and it's not like she feels like a superhuman. Like it feels like no, she can get hurt, but she's smart enough to try and like limit her chances of being hurt. And it really feels great watching that movie. And this could have been a great horror comedy or a great serious movie, and it felt like it didn't really like it lands in this place in the middle that's just kind of frustrating to me.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. Like I feel like Samara Weaving's good in it, but I guess I never really grew super attached to the character. Like it kind of just seemed like she was there.
Yeah,
like never really got too much of a sense of her personality, I guess.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think she's solid in her performance and whatnot, but she.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I ever really kind of really grew attached to her, and it's and I liked her a lot in The Babysitter. She was the kind of the villain in that, and she was great there. And I said frustrated. I think really what I mean is that like because it doesn't quite commit to either sort of direction, and it feels like it sort of lands in the middle. And sometimes that means the farcical moments feel almost like too far, even though I did like some of the running farcical jokes. It does make some of the serious stuff harder to take. Like they almost like clash with each other. And I think that ultimately by the end of it, I had this weird feeling of just not being that invested in it. And it wasn't like it was like doing anything to piss me off, or I was like, oh, this is bad, this is terrible, or anything. I was just kind of sitting feeling like, okay, this is a movie that's happening in front of me, and it's just there, but I couldn't really get wrapped up in it in either way, which is bugging me. There's some other cast members in here that are worth mentioning. We mentioned obviously Weaving and Brody. This mentioned Andy McDowell, who's like the mother of the family.
Oh yeah.
So she's there, and then Melanie Scarfano is kind of the coke snorting kind of silly one, and
she was good. Yeah.
I know her, and it took me a second to recognize her actually because she's so different in this, but she's actually Winona Earp from Winona Earp. But she's such like a sort of tough like tomboy in that show that it actually took me like a few lines of dialogue to really notice it. So I was like, oh, that's her, because she's got like a dress on and she's so girly and. So different, but I like the butler a lot. I'll say that much. The butler carries himself with a demeanor that I enjoyed. He had kind of like a discount store version of like Michael Douglas or something like that. I was getting from him.
I can see that.
But yeah, I was into it well enough. So it's an okay movie. Like I think it's perfectly enjoyable, but I don't think it's like one of those ones where I'm like, oh, this is one of the best of the year. Now, will it make our top 10 of 2019 when we do that in end of February, or sometime early March? It depends how many other good movies are from 2019. There's a chance it could scrape on there just by kind of default, which kind of sucks. Now, I often say that you always have to cut stuff to make a list justifiable, but we always do a top 10 of the year. So to me, that's a consistency. And then what we say is, well, if the bottom few are kind of mediocre, then it means that the year just sucked, and that's a statement in and of itself.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Like, I don't know, it always sounds insulting when people say this, but I mean, this movie's fine.
Yeah,
Like,
it's fine.
I don't know, like I don't know why like that's become such a like kind of sometimes it's like anger inducing word, but I don't know. I feel like it fits for this movie. You know, it doesn't offend you. It doesn't blow you away, but
I can't get passionate about it either way. That's the thing, right? That's why it's just fine.
Unfortunately, sometimes like those movies are kind of the harder ones to talk about, because at least if it was really bad, you know, we could be like, oh my god, I can't believe this. This is crazy, out of control, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, so I guess we'll do the spoiler section. I'll just thank the Patreon producers for the month. Although technically we're recording this in advance, so if these drastically change, I'll have to record a little insert or something to change the names. But thanks to David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Palacios, and Tyler Hess for being our Patreon producers. That means your $20 are up on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, which you can go and do yourself. But you don't have to contribute that much. You can contribute as little as $1 per month, and you get access to an exclusive bonus episode of streams every month. There's a whole back catalogue now of like 13 or so episodes that you can enjoy that are exclusive to patrons. There's bonus episodes of other shows, there's outtakes and tangents and things like that. $5 tier, you get voting rights and you get to add movies to the crypt, and you get early access to a couple of the episodes per month. Not the regular Monday episodes, but the ones that come later in the week. So which is a thing we're just starting this month actually. So I mean, I don't know if there's any of those up yet by the time this goes up, but that'll be a thing. So go and have a look and see if you want to support us and keep everything coming, keep all the shows going, and make sure we keep streaming after midnight, because I don't know if you're aware of this, Tim, but this May is our 5th anniversary.
Ooh, okay. So
we may have to do something.
A good time to end if if things aren't going well.
We'll have to think of something to do for the 5th anniversary. I don't know what, but something.
5 straight Leprechaun movies.
I wonder if we get to the place where we're ready for number 5 in like a bunch of franchises. So Leprechaun 5 and Hellraiser 5 and
that could actually be pretty cool. It's a whole month of 5s. Wow.
I don't know. Sounds like madness. So that takes out the spoiler section of Ready or Not. The movie opens with a flashback to 30 years ago in the 80s, when the two brothers being like Adam Brody's character and the husband character. The husband, whose name is Alex, and Daniel's Adam Brody's character. And they're running around, and it's basically the new husband of this bride who's been hunted and is dragged into the game room for a ritual of some kind. And we cut 30 years later, and we find out throughout the course of the film, of course, that they don't do this every time someone gets married, literally, this game. It depends on the card that the new person draws out of this box. And if they pick hide or seek, then the person has to be killed by dawn. If they pick something else, then they just play the game, I guess. Because
someone mentions they got like chests and made or whatever.
So there's a whole thing throughout the movie, of course, of like, is this real? Because they believe if they don't kill the person, that the entire family will be wiped out. Because they've got this deal with this old ghost, this guy that got this box from in the past,
Mr. LaBelle or something.
Yeah,
like
Mr. LaBelle. Yeah, and there's a whole debate throughout the whole movie, is this bullshit or not? And I do kind of like the conclusion to that.
See, well, I don't know if we want to talk about that right now.
I mean, we could talk about them going plop.
Yeah, well, because my thing is, I knew this was going to happen, because I feel like most movies now, they always go for, I feel like it's more common now when characters are like being like, oh, that's not real, and then in the end it ends up that it is real. So when at first they do a little swerve and it's dawn and no one's died and everyone's kind of looking up like, maybe it was all bullshit, I actually really like that a lot better, because I feel like you don't see that
Yeah, I
as
mean,
much.
no, there's definitely a benefit of going that route. Like, you could have had this awkward ending where they all have to just kind of admit, oh, we didn't have to do this, and all these people that you've killed in self-defense didn't need to die, and we've made your night miserable, and
Yeah.
there's definitely a potential ending there. But I did like because I kind of expected it to be real as well, but I didn't necessarily expect the visual of them just exploding
The
into a
actual
pool of blood.
exploding, yeah.
Like, I actually liked that effect, which is why I kind
That
of
was
enjoyed
cool.
it.
Yeah, like it's not. Well, yeah, like I don't necessarily hate it. I kind of liked at first the other direction they were going. So I was a little bummed when they did start exploding, but at least the exploding was cool.
Yeah, I'll have to jump straight to the end. It was just because we're explaining the rules of this thing. So of course she's nervous about getting married, Grace, and Alex, the husband's like, you can back out, he keeps giving her the chance to back out, and they get married. All the family members seem to dislike her because she's not like rich, and she's a commoner and whatnot. And she like they have a kind of an intimate moment, but it's interrupted by the evil looking auntie who looks really like like dead serious all the time and got that short like spiky hair. And she's brought into the game room. She's made to draw the card, and when she thinks they have to play hide and seek, she's just kind of like, we have to actually play hide and seek, okay. And she goes to hide, but obviously she doesn't know that they're all going to be hunting her to kill her. And the husband obviously wants to escape and go and warn her and say, hey, we have to get you out of here, kind of thing. And obviously, I was kind of expecting, okay, there has to be the moment sort of at the end of Act 1 where it's proven to her that there's real danger here, right? And the way they do this is actually the start of the running gag, which is honestly probably the best thing about the movie, is the running gag, because there's 3 members of the Help, not including the butler. Although he basically untimely end as well, of course, eventually, but where they keep accidentally dying, either by the hands of the family when they're trying to kill Grace, or by even Grace herself, actually, at one point. So the cokehead character, Emily, she like just sees like this one of the maids like going around and just blasts her in the face with this handgun, and is like, oh, and this is like and as this is happening, Grace and Alex are sort of hiding behind the bed in the room that this is all happening in, so she knows that this is real. Like, she knows, because they could have like drawn this out a little bit even when she didn't believe this was real. So, oh, don't be silly, they're not going to kill me. Like, this isn't a real thing. Like, what are you talking about? But of course she's terrified, and the family come in like, oh, what are we supposed to do with her? I don't know, get the other two to come and take her body away.
And it's just and again, what's really funny is like and I forget the sister's name, but like her reaction to like because at first she's all excited, she's like, I got her, and then like she realizes that, oh, it was just a help. Like, again, like a normal person would be devastated that they killed like an innocent person, but they're just like, she's just more upset that like, oh no, like they're gonna be mad at me, and like
I mean, the obvious thing this movie's about is it's about the rich. It's about the 1%, and about not caring about anyone else, and doing whatever you can to hold on to it. The idea of like refusing to give up that power, even if it means literally hunting down someone and killing them, because the thought of losing their wealth. And there's even like the Adam Brody's wife in the movie. Like, she's like, no, I'm only with you for your money, and I am helping kill this person because I am not losing this. Like, that's the attitude.
And just the idea of like like a lot of like rich people that just not like can very easily just let poor people die and not care, or having this kind of dynasty or whatever that's built on the deaths of people that they would consider lesser than or whatever.
And even on top of that stuff, like, I'm kind of jumping ahead again to one of the sort of things, but so Alex tries to help her, and he tries to unlock all the doors. His family eventually sort of like grab him and like handcuff him to a bed, and he's trying to escape the whole movie. And he eventually like sort of helps, like, gets to her and finds her. But by this point in the movie, she's kind of like killed a couple of the family members with her bare hands and like been defending herself. And he kind of looks at her like all disturbed, like, you did this, like you were supposed to be better than this. But there's a kind of a moment here where he leans in and says, you're not going to be with me after this, are you? Like, even though I've been trying to help you, because my family's put you through this, you're not going to be with me, and like and I do love you. And she didn't really even say anything. She just kind of looks at him like, yeah, like there's no way I'm staying with you after this. And he just kind of flips and starts, because there's a whole thing, and there's the flashback at the start where the guy who's running from the family like runs into one of the kids, and he's saying, "Hey, can you help me, kid?" And the kid shouts, "He's here, he's here!" So this moment's kind of like replayed, and that was Daniel in the flashback, and Daniel has this, because the twist is that Daniel, Adam Brody's character, was the kid who turned the guy in, but has kind of lived with that guilt his whole life and actually wants to help. So he tries to help her, and it kind of ends up getting killed for his troubles. Not by her, obviously, by another family member. But
did Alex kind of assume that it was her though? Because he finds him dead, and then the next thing he sees is like her killing the mom.
I think he might have assumed that. Yeah, he might have assumed that.
That was kind of that's why I was thinking that he flipped, because of that, like, because it seemed like he.
Well, I mean, you can argue that, but I think the reason, what I was getting to there, with going with the whole rich person thing, is that the second, like, he's all on her side, and he's on, he's completely trying to save her, and he's against his family, but the second that he realizes he's not going to get what he wants.
Oh yeah.
He just like, okay, well, I'll just do what the rest of my rich family want then. In that case, I'll go along with the script, because if I'm not getting what I want, what Rich Boy wants, then you might as well be dead.
That's the point.
Yeah. So
that's true.
So I think there's a little bit of messaging in there. It's just it's just there. And seeing like the dad and whatever freak out over things, and like people getting away and stuff like that is occasionally entertaining. Like there's stuff there. But yeah, so just to sort of rewind and go through some of the beats of the actual sort of running through the house and whatnot, and like one of the help dies because she's hiding in the little lift, the little conveyor lift, and she's like, "Hey, like, come on, help me get out, and I'll, we can get away from these crazy people." And the maid starts screaming, she's here!" And she tries to run, and she presses the button herself for the lift, and because Samara Weaving's kind of holding on to her, she ends up getting, like, the door kind of crushes her when the lift goes down.
Yeah.
So she's just sort of left there dangling, and at this point, when they find the body, like, the dad's like, "She's taking us out one by one with her bare hands," and I'm like, technically, it was your people who killed the first two members of the help.
Yeah.
Like she, even though it was an accident, Grace was only even indirectly around one of them. Like, the other two were definitely,
And I think I like the second one. I think it's when she has like the crossbow, and again the same sister, and like she's trying to figure out like how to use it, and then accidentally.
Well, there's a running gag with the sort of chubby guy who gets the crossbow, because it's not like a new crossbow, it's kind of this ancient looking crossbow, and he's sort of like complaining he doesn't know how to use it, and he goes to the toilet at one point, and he's like on the shitter, and he's watching YouTube videos of how to use a crossbow, but like back when they're all joined up again, and they're kind of concerned that she's running away and whatever. He offers his weapon because she says, "Oh, I've lost my gun." So he says, "Hey, you can have my crossbow." And she's like, and within seconds of holding the crossbow, the maid walks into the room, and she immediately fires it by accident and kills the maid right in the eye. And everyone's like, "Oh, for F's sake!"
And I think she screams like, "Why does this keep happening to me?" Which is really funny.
Honestly, she may be the most entertaining character. Is Emily?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Emily's really funny.
Because I think, she's definitely, like you were saying before, with like, some of the people being like maybe like a little too serious. Like Adam Brody's character is, and it makes sense for the character again, but he's kind of so dour and taking everything so seriously. But a lot of what's fun about the movie is like the coked out sister, who's like so giddy and whiny and stuff. Like she's really entertaining. Or I think it was her husband.
There's a hint early on that she's taking coke, because she sort of like sniffs a little bit. But after she shoots the first maid, like that first sort of murder, after they drag, because there's a whole thing where they do like a coin flip for who has to carry the head and who has to carry the legs as they're dragging them out. But after everyone leaves the room, she goes to the mirror, takes out some coke, and like snorts it, and and seriously, her entire like sort of upper lip is all white from the coke. She kind of just looks at the mirror and goes, "Whoa, you got this!" And she sort of goes out. Like honestly, like a entire movie about her hunting someone and accidentally shooting all the wrong people might actually be a great idea. Like,
oh yeah,
go for it.
Yeah, definitely. Like the little sillier, more over the top characters, I think were the more entertaining aspect. Like, Yeah, once the things start to get like too serious, yeah, I think that's where it kind of loses you a little bit. Um, yeah, that's why like those characters and the butler and stuff are all really good, but then yeah, the stuff with like the sister-in-law that's like I'm not losing this and that kind of stuff is just like don't care about that as much.
Yeah, because there's a whole section where, so I was talking about subverting your expectations here, and I like the subversion itself. I was just disappointed that it didn't give me a different way after the fact, because when she's sneaking around after a while, she goes past the game room where she knows there's a lot of weapons hanging up, because that's where they got all their weapons, and she goes in and she grabs this big ass shotgun with the biggest shotgun shells I have ever seen in my life, and she gets like the ammo belt around her and she's got the gun, and this is what she looks like on the poster, and there's this great, probably one of the best scenes in the movie actually, where she's sort of hiding behind the kitchen counter, and the butler comes in and he's like sort of whistling and singing a song as he's making like I don't know a drink or something. He's making some
like
coffee
tea or something.
Yeah, he's having a drink, and she sort of like she makes that like, and she's trying to like load the gun because there's nothing in it, because she found that out when she tried to shoot the door open, because they've got like a bunch of electronic locks and everything, so she can't get out, and she like, it's one of those sort of older shotguns where you sort of like click it open, right? The old sort of like farmer shotgun, I'd kind of call it, and when she clicks it open, like his head just turns, like he hears this click, and obviously she kind of like sort of dances around the other side of the counter so he doesn't see her when he goes to check, and then she has to time the click back in when she's got the shell in it, for when he's singing really loudly, so he starts like he's doing like an opera, he's like la, 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 like, and she does that, and then she sort of sneaks up behind him. She's got a gun, and it doesn't fire. And he points out that the bullets in that room are just for show. Well, there's nothing real, it won't fire. And it's okay. So that gun and the ammo belt are useless. I liked it in the moment. I was like, okay, that's kind of funny that's on the poster. You set us up for thinking this is her going to be the big badass moment, and it's not. This is like, no, this didn't work. But I was still expecting her to like kind of gear up and kind of like make a plan to fight back, and it never really felt like that, because she kind of like eventually gets out at one of the windows when the doors are unlocked and the windows are unlocked, and she runs out into the road and into the forest, and it felt like she was just kind of always on the run, and eventually she gets captured, and she kind of fights back here or there where she has a chance to, but it never feels like she makes the choice to kind of like turn around and fight, it never feels like that. And that was disappointing to me, because I really felt that's what this movie was building up to.
Yeah, and I feel like there's like weird like logic inconsistencies where like, yeah, she finally does get in the car and she starts driving, and she's talking to like this road assistance person through it, who eventually shuts the car down because it was reported stolen. But before that, I feel like she gets she's probably driving like somewhat fast, so I feel like she should get a decent distance away, but like as soon as the car shuts off, like the butler is like magically there.
Yeah, I also just kind of felt like when she was in the forest across the road, she kind of literally just like kept traveling into the forest for a little bit, so she was out of sight and just sort of walked that way. And like, I don't know, there was definitely moments where it felt like, yeah, she could have just maybe got away here or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's that's what it is. But the butler kind of grabs it. I do kind of like the sequence. It's played for laughs, but I kind of like the sequence where he's drugged her, right? He's given her something, and she's in the back seat, and he's driving back to the house, and he's like, "Don't worry, sir," and he's on Skype or whatever. He's talking to the family, and the family are all like sitting at the desk, like all looking over each other's shoulders, watching this like little phone of him just sort of saying, "No, don't worry, I've got her, sir. We've got like an hour till dawn. We're done. It's fine." And as he puts on his music really loud and he starts singing to it, but the Skype call's still going, and they're all happy, they're all cheering, and then they see her like get up in the back seat, and and this was actually maybe the only moment in the movie where I really felt like, no, she's maybe going to become that badass I was hoping she'd be. And I know she does beat like the mum to death with the box, like later, but like that felt again like it was kind of spur of the moment. She just grabbed it and did it, as opposed to she's starting to like really think about how she can fight back. But yeah, she gets up and just sort of kicks him enough that he ends up flipping the car, which I think that kills the butler. I don't even see the butler again after that.
Pretty sure, yeah.
But they end up grabbing her, like I said, Daniel Adam Brody does try to save her by giving everyone a roofie, essentially, when they're going to do the big ritual. But however, it doesn't work well enough, and he ends up getting hurt and killed. And we basically talked about some of this anyway, where Grace kills the mom, Alex catches her, turns on her.
Like up until then, for a lot of the movie, he's handcuffed to like a bedpost, but he's been like slowly kind of sawing it off by rubbing back and forth with the handcuffs.
Rubbing back and forth, Tim. Don't say such dirty things to me.
I don't know how else to describe it.
I'm not ready for that. But basically, they're trying to do the thing as dawn's happening. They're just in the nick of time. But she's able to kind of fight back enough that they only stab her on the shoulder. And then sunlight comes pouring through the windows. And like you say, they're like, oh, maybe this is bullshit. Huh. Yeah. And then they start plopping one by one, including the kids, which I thought was really funny. And like I agree with you, the final line, because everyone dies. There's a weird moment where she kind of sees the ghost of this guy in the chair, who kind of just winks at her or nods at her and it's like, yeah, you won, like you get to go. And she's like, well, F, there's a funny kind of like reaction from her when she sees that, even though I don't know if I wanted to see a ghost in this, but I did like a reaction at least. So but I do agree with you that when she gets outside and the firemen and police and everyone are all arriving, and like someone's talking, she's like, hey Missy, you okay, like what the hell, because she's like, but at this point she's covered in blood, like, because the last moment with Alex, he was the last one who plopped, and he plopped right in front of her. She gets covered in blood, and he's like, what the hell happened to you? And she goes, in-laws, and it cuts to credits.
So cheesy.
It's such a easy cheesy joke, I can't really defend that moment. I can't defend it.
One moment I did like is she is like hiding in the barn, and she sees like one of the kids coming out, and
no, this is good. Yeah, continue.
And she thinks like he's gonna help. I think his name was like Georgie or something. He's like Georgie, like, oh, like help me or whatever, and he just like raises a gun at her and shoots her through the hand, which and then like she punches him out, which was really funny.
It was her punching the like 8-year-old square in the face that made me laugh. Like I lost my shit when she punched him in the face.
Yeah, like I thought that was really funny. But then I think it also does lead to like the kills are okay, but they're not very they're not like super like gory or whatever. It's just like it's usually people like getting shot or whatever. But I do think this scene though, where she has to climb the ladder, definitely like made me like tense up a little bit, like once you realize what she has to do. There's a nail at the top of this, because it's like a sort of basement exit of the barn. It's like where like all the like dead bodies are being piled up, so like to get out she has to climb this ladder, but it's really old, so it keeps breaking as she's going up, and then she gets to the top and she's kind of dangling off. It's
basically in Home Alone when Marv puts his foot on the nail. It's basically that with her hand, although I did kind of joke to myself, say, well, there's already a hole in it from the bullet, maybe if she got lucky she'd have just it would just just go through the hole.
But it's kind of funny, like you're saying, like you really want her to be this badass, and there are moments like this where it's like, okay, that is like
the start of it. It feels like she's just starting to become a badass.
Yeah, but then it feels like once you get past that, though, then it's like it's almost like she resets to zero, and then she has to like kind of start over again, and until she gets to another moment where she, like, instead of just being like, all right, like I've had enough, like I'm taking the fight to them, it's like, all right, I did this cool thing, but no, I'm still gonna run and like try to plead for my life or whatever, but then I'll do something cool again later. Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's basically the movie. I feel like if it had just picked a more of a tone, and I mean, honestly, I could have taken the serious version of like the survival thriller. I could have taken the more, let's go down more of the comedy route and the satire and go completely farcical with it. I would have greatly enjoyed this movie more either way, but I think it just lands somewhere awkwardly in the middle. So so that's a shame. That's a shame, but it's not a bad watch though. It's an easy watch. I think it's perfectly viewable. And
to me, this is like the ideal streaming movie. Like, I'm not like bummed I didn't see this in theaters. It's like, it's perfectly fine. Like, Thursday night or Saturday afternoon. You just want to watch something you haven't seen before, and it's streaming.
Hold on, why Thursday night or Saturday afternoon? Why those two times in particular?
Oh, I don't know. It just feels like the time you'd watch a movie like this. I don't know.
Okay, all right. Okay. I mean, I will often say something's a Sunday afternoon
Sure.
viewing. I say it more often in Ace though, because we tend to do like some of those sort of more cheesy like 70s sci-fi. Like, oh, that's a Sunday afternoon movie.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Whereas I think most of the stuff we watch is more of a after midnight viewing, and not just because of our title. I think that's generally like how you would describe it. Yeah, if this is on at 1 a.m. on some cable channel, yeah, like sure,
It's fun. Yeah.
watch it. All right, well, I guess we're rating it then. What you giving Ready or Not?
I mean, like you said, yeah, it is a movie that kind of like lands somewhere in the middle, but I think it's entertaining enough and well enough made that I'm not just gonna give it like a straight 5 or something. So I'll go a little bit higher. I'll give it like a 6, which is, I feel like that's the kind of, all right, it's fine, I had fun with it, but nothing amazing kind of area.
Yeah, I'm conflicted as well. Actually, I feel like part of me feels like the 6 might be. I kind of agree.
It's hard because there's nothing like necessarily bad about it. So like I feel like if the acting was really bad or something, then maybe you could take a few points off. But I don't know. For me, it's kind of a little hard to go like too low when it's.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with the 6. I was trying to argue myself into a 6.5, but I just don't think I can do it. I don't think it's good enough to be called good. I think it's decent. It is decent and watchable. It has some good moments, but ultimately, I didn't find myself loving it by any means. Yeah. So there you go. That is Ready or Not. And if they ever make a sequel, it has to be called Ready or Not 2, Here I Come.
Yeah.
It has to be, right? Like, come on.
Yeah.
So that is Ready or Not. You can let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at Screams Midnight for all of our ramblings and Tim posting silly nonsense about the boy and our leprechaun. You can do that there. You can, of course, support us by doing all that stuff. You can also support us by rating the audio podcast on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. More people will find us that way, so that's extremely helpful. We mentioned Patreon earlier, of course, so go do that if you want to give us some money financially, which is typically what giving money means, is financial. You know what I mean? Like, guys, just go with it. You can also, of course, share us on social media, recommend us to people, that kind of thing. All that does help. So that is us. Check out other shows we've got, like the Ace, the Atomic Cinema Experiment, our sci-fi movie podcast. This seems the most relevant one to recommend, but we do a bunch of stuff, and that is us. That is Streams After Midnight. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.